Okay, let's do some more bank reconciliations. You notice this is the second video I've put out about bank recs. That should start telegraphing to you that bank reconciliations are an important part of Chapter 4. So let's look at first what they're asking us to do. They say prepare the bank section, then the book section of the bank rec. The bank section is the one that starts with the bank balance and then comes down to true cash. The book section is what starts with the books versions of cash and then trues up the cash to what it really is. The bank section starts with the beginning balance, the ending balance on the bank statement. It asks itself, what could the bank not know that we need to adjust for? The book begins with the ending cash on the books, and then it says, what could the books not be aware of, like things that are on the bank statement? So that's why they work. They both work. Let's take a look at it. We'll start with the bank rec. Notice that the bank rec, as I've said previously, is the easiest one to start with. So let's go up here and we'll start with the beginning balance. The beginning balance, the ending balance. I keep saying the beginning balance. The ending balance on November the 30th. And it says here, roller skating rink. He has just received the monthly bank statement on November 30th from the bank. And in the statement, the bank thinks, hey, this is how much cash you have. It shows an ending balance of $720. Okay, so that's what the bank's version of the truth is. But now you have to ask yourself, what does the bank statement have no idea of? In other words, what could potentially make this number go up that the bank doesn't know about? What could make this number potentially go down that the bank doesn't know about? In terms of things that the bank statement would not know about, is any deposits that happen to be in transit. So let's look for deposits in transit. Listed on the statement are an EFT rent collection of $330. This is an electronic funds transfer. This is not a deposit in transit. Service charge, well, the bank statement knows about that. The bank statement knows about that. It knows about the 2 Nsf checks for $115. And obviously it knows about a $9 charge for printed checks because it's the bank creating the statement saying we're charging you. Looking over at the cash records, though, with the actual books that the company has, it says Smith identifies outstanding checks totaling $604, and in November 30th, notice on that very last day of the month, a November 30th deposit in transit of $1,780. Here's our deposit in transit. This $1,780, since it's in transit, is not in this balance. So we have to adjust this up to reflect the fact that this will eventually get deposited. So let's get our deposits in transit. And this is going to be $1,780. Then you'll notice here, include the balances at November 30th in each of the subtotal calculations. Here's a subtotal, so we need to calculate that. We can't ignore the 720 that begins the cycle. So we have 720, and we add to that 1,780. That gives us 2,500. Okay, and that's just a subtotal. Now we're saying, well, what does the bank? This is what the bank doesn't know about that's going to make this go up, right? Now, what does this bank statement not know about that's going to make this go down? Well, that's outstanding checks. So Smith identifies outstanding checks of $604. So let's look for outstanding checks and put our $604. Now, if you take the 2,500 minus the 604, you'll come up with 1,896. Okay, and 1,896 is the adjusted bank balance. It's the bank balance adjusted for the things that the bank statement could not possibly know. The bank statement couldn't possibly know that you've got some deposits in transit that you put in the mail on November 30th or put in the box on November 30th, whatever you happen to do. They're not in there. In transit means the bank hasn't gotten them yet. And outstanding checks are always checks that have been written and that have not cleared the bank yet. Who knows? Maybe they fell behind a desk. Maybe the person's sitting on them. But eventually they'll make that 720 go down. So this is how you handle the bank rec side of this. Let's drop down to the books now. The books, it kind of starts the same way because you start with the book's version of the truth. And what you want to do is you want to say, okay, up here, we're going to start with what the book thinks cash is. So we slide up here, I'm going to take it left to right. This is what the bank statement shows, so that's not right. Listed on the statement are EFT rent collection. Well, that's great. We'll get to that. We're hunting, we're fishing for the balance. during for part-time as 29. That was a mistake. So there's a check. The books think it's 290, but you know, this business, it should have been. He recorded a $290 check for the salary as 29. So it should have been 290, and it was recorded as 29. This doesn't make any sense. You wouldn't pay somebody $29. Smith's cash account shows a November 30th balance of 1959. So after going through all of this, what we were looking for is, what do the books say cash truly is at the beginning of the cycle? And finally, at the end here, we get Smith's cash account shows a November 30th balance of 1959. So let's start our balance with November 30th in 1959. Now we're going to add to that things that the books could not possibly know. In other words, we're going to things that would make the 1959 go up and it couldn't possibly know. Well, one of the things that you have here, if you look, let's pick it up here with EFT rent collection. This electronic funds transfer rent collection. This is something that goes straight into the bank. So it does not go through the company's books. Because it does not go through the company's books, there's no way that the books at the company could have that amount in it. This is added, that EFT rent collection is added to the 1959 after you get the statement showing it's been drafted in. So let's go ahead and add that in. EFT collection, and it's 330. And then you ask yourself, is there anything else that would potentially make it go up that the books could not know about? Well, here's the rent collection, that makes it go up. Service charge, that makes it go down. Nsf check totaling $115. This is checks that potentially we're going to clear. And what's happened is we thought these checks that we collected, NSF is coming towards us, the check is coming towards us. We thought we were going to collect this, so we have it in here, right? Because when we earned it, we booked it. We debited cash, we credited revenue. We thought we were going to get the 115. We're not going to get the 115, so that's going to drop the balance. $9 charge for printed checks makes it go down. Identifies outstanding. This outstanding checks, this has to do with reconciling or adjusting the bank balance, and deposits in transit have to do with reconciling the bank balance as well. The company's books know what checks they've written, and the company's books know what deposits have been made. It's the bank that doesn't know that these are in transit. This is basic outstanding checks. You could say it this way: it's the checks in transit, if that makes it any easier. And during November, he recorded a $290 check for the salary. So this is a mistake. It was recorded as $290, so the books dropped it by $29, but it should have been $290. So we should be out more. We shouldn't be out 29. This is a mistake. It should have been this much. Notice that you have to be careful when you read this. It says he recorded a $290 checks as 29. So 29 is what's in the books. Okay, so we have no more additions here. We don't have anything else that potentially can make this go up, only this EFT rent collection. So now we need a subtotal here. And what we'll do is we'll come down here. They give you two lines, but you don't have a second one. What we'll do is take the 1959, and we will add to 1959 330 to give us 2289. Now let's slide down here and incorporate the things that are going to make the books version of cash drop, because the books become aware of it when they get the bank statement. The first thing you're going to have, let's take the hard one first. I think it'll be easy. The first problem you're going to have is you have a check that was written in the books as $29, and the check should have been $290. Okay, so a $290 check cleared for $290, but it should have, the book show 29 and the bank statement shows 290. So this is when you become aware of the fact that it's 29, the books show 29, but the actual bank statement says, hey, you know, this is 290, so this is wrong. And you also look at this and it doesn't make any sense. So the difference between this 29 and this 291 is 261. If you take the 261 and add it to the 29, you get that. So let's go ahead and correct our error here. And this is correction of error, and the amount is 261. Okay, it's dropping this balance. Let me get it up. I can't make this stuff go away because we're at the top here. But this 1959 okay, was recorded as if it was recorded as $29. So this used to be $29 higher, and we wrote a check for it and incorrectly recorded it as 29. It should have been $290. The difference means this didn't drop enough. It dropped by 29 when we wrote that check, but the check said 290 and we made a mistake and recorded it as 29. So here we're fixing our mistake. We're dropping it an additional 261. 261 plus 29 reflects. This reflects $29 worth of drop. Here's another 261, so we get to the 290, which is what the bank actually cleared the check for. When you read stuff like this, you can see that it says it was recorded as $290. Recorded a $200 check. This is what it really is. It was recorded as 29. Be careful that where you want to pay attention to is this as 29. It was recorded as 29. Should have been 290. All right, I think I beat that to death. Let's go to Nsf Checks. Nsf check here is 2 Nsf checks totaling $115. So we received 2 checks that totaled $115. They went bad, they bounced. We had recorded them in our books as they're good. Now it's time to take them back out. The rest is pretty easy. We get charged for printed checks, and charge for printed checks is $9, $9 charge for printed checks. And then the last category here that we're dropping is the service charge. And the service charge is, let's see, let's put it in here first. That's for printed checks. That's an Nsf service charge of $8. Okay, so now you just take your total deductions, which in this case are 261, 115, and 9, and 8, for a total of 393. And the 393 is the 261, I think I got some math problem here. Hang on. 261, 115, yeah, 393. I don't know why I thought I had it wrong. And this is the total deductions down. Again, what we've done is adjusted what the book's version of the truth is up by what the books doesn't know. The book doesn't know about the 330, and then we've adjusted the 1959 down by what the books don't know. The books don't know there was an error until you saw the bank statement and saw a $29 check that cleared for $290, and this is correct. Doesn't know about Nsf checks. They bounce, and that's when the bank statement tells you they've bounced. And it doesn't know about these 2 charges, the service charge and the printed checks. So now we take the $22.89 and we subtract the $393, and we get $18.96. And $18.96 is going to be the adjusted book balance. You will notice when you slide up here, we did the easy one first. It has a lot less adjustments to it, and we came up to $18.96. And then we started with the book balance, made the adjustments up for things that the books could not possibly know, made the adjustments down for what the books cannot possibly know. Both of these you become aware of when you look at the bank statement at the end of the month, and that's how you do the books version of the truth. So the cash at the end of the cycle at November 30th is $18.96. Things excited. I wanted to show you another one of these. Again, the big picture here is that when you're adjusting the bank version of the truth, you got to go up by deposits and transits and down by outstanding checks. So when you read a problem like this, you want to be looking, and if you have scratch paper, write down, oh, okay, here's the deposits in transit, here's the outstanding checks, and that'll give you a good anchor point, right? And then you take the cash's version of the truth, and you just simply adjust up for what the books don't know until they look at the bank statement, which that's when the bank statement tells you this. And the bank statement also tells you, hey, you booked a check for $29. The books show $29, but it was really for $290, and that's what it cleared for. So you need to adjust down your books, your actual books. And then the Nsf, which just any checks that bounce, you have to bring this 1959 down. And then any service charges or any check print charges. I hope you found this useful.